I'm convinced that the Mig flashcard for the Nintendo Switch is in fact a scam. I've discovered compelling new evidence which supports this theory. Let me connect the dots for you today on It's All Dug in Games. Today, we're going to talk about the hottest story in the Nintendo Switch scene, the Mig flashcard, purported to be available for purchase soon. There are a lot of breaking details surrounding this story, and we need to recap them first, which will provide context to the new information I have uncovered this morning. So let's start at the beginning. Our story begins in September 2020 when a Canadian national named Gary Bowser, known online as Gary OPA, was arrested and charged with designing and selling circumvention devices intended to allow individuals to play pirated copies of games for, among other consoles, Nintendo Switch. Gary was actually the PR man of sorts, managing the web-facing presences used by hacking group Team Xecuter to market these devices. One clever tactic used by Bowser that's relevant to our story is employing a fake news site, in this case called MaxConsole.com, which purported to be a console modding news site, but was ultimately a venue to plant positive reviews and links to purchase piracy devices created by the hacking group he worked for, Team Xecuter. After both criminal and civil suits against Bowser concluded, Bowser ended up being sentenced to 40 months in prison in February of 2022 and got socked with close to $15 million in fines related to the sale of piracy devices his work enabled. Bowser was released from prison early on good behavior in the spring of 2023. Fast forward to December 22, 2023, when a Twitter account called AfterTimeX, which appears to be a faceless, nameless, AI-generated feed of tech, crypto, gaming news, produced a tweet titled "Exciting News for the Switch Scene," accompanied by a video demonstrating what appears to be a device piggybacking a micro SD card onto a Switch cartridge with a small green LED and cycling through the loading of various modern Switch games. The implication here was clearly that this device allowed the loading of backed-up Switch games without the original physical media. The tweet to date has garnered over 7 million views and has been retweeted thousands of times. If this was an effort to drum up intense buzz, mission accomplished. The internet was sent into a frenzy, speculating on the ramifications of this device hitting the market, the excitement clearly drowning out almost all healthy skepticism. The AfterTimeX Twitter account also points folks to their web presence, AfterTimeX.com, which appears to be a website itself that has only been online for a short time. A subsequent posting on AfterTimeX directs folks to the official website for the now named device, the Mig Switch, MigSwitch.com, which is also interesting, and it has a very similar approach to using broken English grammar in its text, and is also nameless and faceless. Both AfterTimeX and Mig Switch also do not provide any direct email addresses. Rather, they use web forms to submit inquiries, and that little detail is where things get very interesting. As of the recording of this video, it's only been a few hours since prominent gaming YouTuber RGT85, who has arguably been doing the best coverage of the Mig story on all of YouTube, posted a video connecting the dots between AfterTimeX and the Mig Switch, which could lead one to wonder if AfterTimeX is merely a front for promotion of the Mig Switch. But if that's the case, who's behind these sites? Well, remember our buddy Gary Bowser? The most recent evidence that has come to light suggests that AfterTimeX may be connected to Gary Bowser. Now, that's a pretty heavy accusation to draw, considering that this man has just been released from prison for his involvement with an organization which sold console hacking devices using clever social media marketing. The evidence to support this accusation comes from looking at the MX record history. Now, let me take a moment here. For those who don't know what an MX record is, an MX record refers to a mail server associated with a site. So if you have a website and you have a contact us form, what mail server is that mail being sent to? Well, anyhow, the MX record history for the site After Timex reveals that until very recently, After Timex used the mail server mail.garyopa.com, which clearly belongs to whomever is behind garyopa.com, who is demonstrably Gary Bowser. Gary Bowser's mail server was connected to After Timex until he or whomever controls After Timex changed it, most likely in an effort to cover their tracks, but clearly unaware that the historical changes to MX records were available to those interested in looking at them. So turning back to RGT85, he correctly recalled how Bowser used what I'll call front news sites, like ConsoleMax, to promote and direct people to the hacking products his employers were producing. Now, to be clear, very clear, RGT never outright accused Gary Bowser of being behind the Mig Switch or After Timex. But I believe the details revealed in his video are a very strong set of circumstantial evidence supporting this theory. After watching RGT's video, my curiosity was absolutely piqued, and I wondered if any additional evidence could be uncovered that supports the theory that Gary Bowser is associated with the Mig Switch in some way, likely as a social media facilitator. And after some sleuthing, I discovered something that is, to my knowledge, yet to be discovered, a detail that leads me to believe these two sites, After Timex and Mig Switch, have a very common attribute. Now, one of the most basic aspects of running a public-facing website in this day and age is procuring a security certificate, which is used to establish the authenticity of the site, and that, in fact, you're visiting that site and not a malicious site impersonating what you're trying to get to. For any above-board site, you'll typically see the site certificate is valid for a year at a time. Once in a great while, I see certificates with renewing every 6 months, but it's almost always that I see legitimate sites, they've purchased certificates that are valid for a year. When I looked at the site details for After Timex, I was shocked to see that they only chose to set up a security certificate for 90 days. This is highly suspect to me and begs the question, is this site intended to be in what I like to call keep the engine running mode, operating on the shortest terms possible? So if there was a need or desire to delete the site at a moment's notice, it could be done so at minimal cost? Why purchase a 12-month security certificate or even a 6-month certificate when you aren't necessarily looking to stick around that long? Sure enough, when I did the same check of MigSwitch.com, that site as well was only tied to a 90-day security certificate. With this detail now being unearthed, I am convinced to my satisfaction that whomever is behind After Timex is also behind MigSwitch.com, and that it is very plausible that someone, whether it is Gary Bowser or someone with access to his mail server, is operating a front for the makers of this Switch device. But after some reflection, I realized that I don't believe the story ends here. The one aspect of the Mig Switch website that I can't get past is the invitation for those interested in distributing this device to reach out to them. For me, I see nothing but red flags, and I can't help but see a pattern that I don't think anyone else is seeing. Every previous piracy device like the Mig Switch has had no problem finding means to openly sell on established marketplaces with no objection to selling such devices. Even today, you can find storefronts on Amazon openly selling the DS generation flashcards. Sites like Temu and Alibaba openly sell pirated Nintendo products with seemingly no fear of recrimination. If the folks behind the Mig Switch have more than a prototype device, as shown in their video, meaning actual manufacturing capacity, why not sell the device on one of those marketplaces? The one and only reason I can think of why a group would solicit people to become distributors. And ultimately, that can only mean soliciting people to send an anonymous, shadowy organization money and or cryptocurrency on the faith that they will in fact receive products to sell, is because this has all the makings of and sounds a lot to me like a rug pull, Like virtually every cryptocurrency offering outside of Bitcoin and Ethereum, it has all the makings of the classic confidence game, where a group generates intense interest in something that the public desperately wants to believe in and can't wait to have it, and then convinces those with more money than common sense that they can make huge profits selling those products in their jurisdictions, assuming the legal risks involved, of course. And that's the genius of this scheme. Otherwise, skeptical persons will be swayed by the point that this product is just too hot for traditional distribution methods. And in the case of Mig Switch, the implication that because it's produced in the Russian Federation, traditional distribution models don't work, and that in exchange for taking the risks of being a, quote, street dealer, huge profits await. I'm convinced that this is not only the same formula used by Team Xecuter Reborn, but in a much smarter way. They only go so far as to create a prototype, build massive hype around it, and then pull in as many wannabe distributor dollars as possible before disappearing in the night, probably right around the time those website certificates expire. Now, let me be clear. This is my theory. Nothing more, nothing less. But I believe the existing evidence and the new details I've unearthed are compelling. And while I won't cry any tears for anyone who loses money on this scheme, I also shake my head at how people discard their ability to think independently and have a healthy skepticism when effective appeals are made to people's inner greed and desire to get something for nothing. For gamers, a chance to steal Nintendo software, and for opportunists with no moral compass, the opportunity to make bank selling piracy devices. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. I'm looking forward to seeing your thoughts on this saga in the comments below, and of course, I hope if you like my content, you'll subscribe to me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on It's All Dug in Games.